If you like to kill monsters, search for potatoes and save your wife who has been kidnapped and transformed into a blonde duck-faced doll girl, all while laughing as you go through this story-driven platformer Metroidvania, then Clunky Hero from Chaosmonger Studio is certainly a game made just for you. So why did our peasant Rufus, dubbed the Clunky Hero, choose to be just like Batman and Spider-Man and conceal his true identity? And why a bucket, you might be wondering? Well, let me tell you. Rufus was awoken one day to the grim fact that the one we don't mention by name, and no, it's not Voldemort, that is a totally different story here, it's simply named the Evil One. Anyway, the Evil One sent his minions to kidnap Brunhild, Rufus' smart and funny wife, and put her in prison in his castle. To further add to the pain, he transformed Brunhild into a blonde duck-faced doll girl. Rufus made a helmet out of a bucket and bare-chested like Conan the Barbarian, but equipped with a broom instead of a sword. He then sets out to save the love of his life, and the story is as solid as any noble hero's origin story. Clunky Hero is a humoristic approach to what usually is populated with fast-paced, pixel-perfect speedrunning type of games. It's true to the Metroidvania genre with limiting your ability to get past certain points on the huge world map until you have the right skills for it. A sneaky thing worth mentioning is that you actually have to find the map for every level, and they are not always placed in an easy-to-find location. That quickly became my first priority upon entering a new level, mostly since I easily get lost jumping back and forth while also fighting the monsters. The platforming in Clunky Hero is solid and really starts to shine when you get access to the double jump skill, a jump that is forgiving and can be launched at any moment, saving me many times when I was falling towards danger I did not anticipate. There are a total of 6 skills to learn and they take time to get them all, but just like most things in Clunky Hero, the humor is still present even there, like this armpit range shot that based on sweat deals range damage to your enemies and runs on magic. Most enemies are simple and follow the same movement pattern over and over again. You have the drunk bees and you have the hipsters with an axe, you can hit them and coin and craft beer come raining down, and flying enemies with range attack to simply mention a few. And they can start to feel a bit repetitive as you go back and forth through the different areas, even if they change shape and form to match the current area. But they are amusing and I regard them as my walking and flying coin loot opportunity. The real battle is with the bosses of the game, and they are quite remarkable bunch of enemies. Most of them are not as hard to defeat as you might believe, but with no health bar present, my patience to repeat the same steps to avoid their attacks usually was my biggest challenge. Places to jump usually give you a hint on what type of enemy you will face and where you are expected to take the fight. I wanted to test if you really need all that or simply to brute force your way through the enemies despite the fact your inventory management doesn't pause the game. And it actually works pretty well for some of them, so if you don't want to wait and read the enemy's movement and attacks, stack up on damage boost and invulnerability and stand there hitting until success. Or not, if you prefer to move around, then a farting cider could be more of your way to go. The game's early on teasing maps for hidden weapons and locations of the legendary potatoes at vendors that always cost more than you can manage to gather up at the start of the game. That all fades away after a few areas and I can most of the time buy what I want and still have a few coins stashed away wherever a bare-chested hero keeps its loot. Fast travel works nicely, but you will have to revisit some areas as you acquire new skills to get further than before. And that is nothing new in this type of game, but for me it's quite hard to remember where you need to go the second time around. Clunky Hero makes me chuckle every time I hear the dialogue, simply because their made-up language is so much fun to listen to, and the tonality really matches said dialogue. The music as you go through the levels are for me well put together, and since there is where you spend most of the time, the tiny ramp up of music as you enter a boss fight is good enough and works as intended. The graphics are amusing and all the areas really set themselves apart from each other. I really like the dark forest look and how the background sounds really build up an immersive feeling. Some parts might look a bit unpolished, but then again it's nothing that hurts the overall feeling of the game, and it's for me alright in an early access title with so many things that are already working well. I would though prefer the whole game to be a bit more zoomed out. Right now it feels like everything is a bit too big on the screen, perhaps to be sure to really show you all the details on every enemy, but on a platform it's easier to navigate and fight if you get some space to have a better view of everything around you. Replayability is based on whether or not you're going for all the Steam achievements or if you are hellbent on finding all the secret locations and weapons. There are a lot of secret locations, so if you go down that route you might play the whole thing once again just to get the perfect score. Clunky Hero comes in at €7.64 and US dollars with a current 15% discount over at Steam, and I think that is absolutely amazing. For that you get a journey of almost 40 levels divided into 7 areas, test out your excellent skills and combine bonus items as you face some really hilarious enemies and bosses. But what really makes it even more worth the price is the game's amazing way to break the fourth wall. If you're new to the concept, it's when the movies and games acknowledge the existence of the audience and speak to them directly. Just like in the Deadpool movie and games like Monkey Island 2, LeChuck's Revenge, Undertale, or one of my favorite, Metal Gear Solid, where Psycho Mantis boss battle where you had to unplug the controller and put it in the other port since Psycho Mantis claimed he could read your mind. Here it's present in clever dialogue in a way that if you played a lot of point-and-click adventure games you feel right at home. And being in early access is a great promise for a future edition and tweaks to the gameplay experience. If you will ask Santa for one game this year, you better ask for Clunky Hero since you will not regret it. Clunky Hero is a fun and exciting addition to the platformer Metroidvania genre, with clever jokes and interesting boss fights all matched up with hilarious items and weapons. You will laugh more than you expect. And in the end on some level you will relate to our poor hero with the bucket on his head. You know what? Let's not end this journey here. You have seen the game. I have a fantastic game here that I think that you should check out. I'm Danny from the Indie Game Viking, and I will say stay safe and stay awesome.